DA Federal Chairperson Helen Zille has confirmed that the Federal Executive had turned down former Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse's proposal to regain control of the city. The DA rejected a proposal to work with the EFF to unseat the ANC-led coalition. Helen Zille, who is the chairperson, joins us now via Zoom. Helen, thank you for making time. What reasons did Mpho Phalatse give for working with the EFF? I thought your position was always clear and consistent as the DA when it comes to this party.
Our position is always clear and consistent when it comes to the EFF. We will not enter into any coalition agreements or negotiations or horse trading of any kind with the EFF. They are a racist party. Just 2 weeks ago, Julius Malema spoke at their Western Cape conference and again was quite clear. He called on his supporters not to be scared to go out and kill white people if they needed to, and he spelled out quite clearly that they did need to. And no constitutional party, no party that believes in the rule of law or non-racism or South Africa for all could ever go into any kind of coalition with a party that wants to murder people on the basis of their skin color. That's just not possible.
So if Mpho Phalatse is aware of that position, which you say has been clear and consistent, why did he still come to the Federal Executive and try to convince you guys to work with the EFF?
Well, Mpho was our mayor in Johannesburg before that coup that we believe will be overturned in the courts, because we believe it was an unlawful meeting, unlawfully convened and unlawfully held. And we're waiting for the courts to rule on that. And we were making good progress in Johannesburg under the mayorship of Mpho Phalatse. And she clearly wanted to save that and thought that the only prospect of doing so was a deal with the EFF, which I'm afraid was a bridge too far for the DA's Federal Executive.
And I'm asking that question because there are people that are suggesting that that's how desperate she is to go back as mayor of Johannesburg, that she's willing to, as you say, bridge too far and suggest that even though I know what your position is as the DA around this party, let's work around it and bring them on the table.
Well, Mpho's job is to lead the Save Joburg campaign, the Hands Off Joburg campaign that she's been leading, and I think very ably leading. And she's obviously looking at all the options, every single one, to put the DA back to prevent the ANC from looting the city again. And we appreciate that that's a very important objective. But when you start doing deals with the EFF, on day one they'll say, we only want this, and then you'll get our support. On day two, they say, we want this and that if you want our support. And so it goes. That's how extortion works. You start with a small extortion and you work bigger and bigger and bigger when you know that you've got somebody by the scruff of their neck. And we weren't going to go down that road. We've been there before and we will never go down that road again.
Yeah, let me ask you this, and then we'll talk about the current state of the multi-party coalition, because I saw Action SA indicating that they are really, in fact, going to be questioning their working relationship with you. What do you make of, and you've said Mpho Phalatse is, of course, running that program of trying to win Johannesburg back, but a lot of people have been asking why she's still referring to herself as the executive mayor of Johannesburg on social media platforms.
Well, we believe that she was unlawfully removed, and I think that the courts may well confirm that. I don't want to prejudge any court outcome. We've got to always be very careful and not do that. But I think that the courts may well confirm that she was unlawfully removed. And I am presuming, and you must ask her, you mustn't ask me to speak for her. I'm not the spokesperson for Mpho Phalatse, but I am sure that she would answer that when you're unlawfully removed from a position, then you can still consider yourself to be legally in that position.
What's the state of the multi-party coalition? And I'm asking because there's a motion of no confidence in the Ekurhuleni mayor, I think this week, if I'm not mistaken. And I've seen Action SA saying that it's going to decide what to do when it comes to this coalition government. Have you had discussions with Action SA? Are they in or are they out of this agreement?
Clement, you saw last week that Action SA has already decided they've decided they're no longer part of the coalition. You've seen that. On Wednesday night, there was a meeting of the technical task team of the coalition, and during that meeting and after that meeting, they decided to support various coalition candidates for the vacancies in Johannesburg. And on Friday, Action South Africa went on its own, ignored what the technical task team of the coalition had decided, and put up their own candidates. So that is the very best possible indication that you would have that Action SA regards the coalitions as over and that they're going on their own. They made a big error of calculation, though. They thought the EFF would go with Action South Africa. That was their calculation. They thought they could form a strong voting bloc between Action South Africa and the EFF. But the EFF had already done a deal with the ANC. So there was no chance of that. So Action South Africa came a distant third because their strategy backfired very badly. But it was a strategy of very bad faith against the other coalition partners, which told us all that Action SA is finished with the coalition.
So given that, then, are you ready as the DA to be in the opposition benches in the big metros? Because, I mean, if Action SA is out of this multi-party coalition, if you've rejected this proposal by Mpho Phalatse to work with the EFF, you just don't have the numbers to maintain leadership in these big metros.
Well, 29% of the residents of Johannesburg voted for us. We were very grateful for every single vote that we received. But if people want good, clean, blue government, then more than 29% will have to vote for the DA. It's simple maths. The DA is very good in government. We're soaring ahead in Cape Town and in the Western Cape and in places as far afield as Umgeni, where we have overall majorities. That's where people will get good blue government that really, really works for the people and that doesn't steal the money and that makes life better for everybody. That is when you get the best results from DA government. And until then, we'll be a very, very good opposition, and we will work to convince more and more people with the proof points of where we govern that life under the DA government gets better for everybody.
Are you worried at all, Helen, about the DA leaders that are leaving the DA to particularly join Action SA? I think the latest one being Zwakhele Mncwango. He's now the chairperson of Action SA in KwaZulu-Natal. Are you worried about that?
I'm not at all worried about that. Not at all, Clement. The bottom line is that you will see that the people who are leaving had big ambitions in the DA. They got to a certain point and then couldn't go any further and believe that they are destined for greater things. And those things, perhaps they didn't see realizing in the immediate future in the DA, so they decided to seek greener pastures, and I use those words advisedly. So that's what they decided to do. Let's see how far it gets. You know, every now and again, a good shakeout in a political party is actually helpful. We've got a lot of fresh talent coming up of all races, of all backgrounds, of all cultures, and that's a very good thing. So I'm not worried at all. A political party is a voluntary association. People come and go often, and Action SA has lost far, far more black leaders than the DA has in its short period of existence. They lost more in a week than we'd lost in 3 years in KwaZulu-Natal. So I wish them all the best of luck with Zwakhele at the helm in KwaZulu-Natal. Let's see where they get to.
How many
but
people
it doesn't
are those?
Worry me at all.
Yeah, how many people are those that Action SA left compared to what
I think they lost six prominent leaders in 1 week in KwaZulu-Natal when the entire executive resigned and started Activists South Africa. They've just started another party. And it might interest you to know, Clement, that in the last 3 weeks, 4 new parties have been started. Now that shows you that in the future, we won't have coalitions. We will just have ungovernability. 4 new parties, one started by Mogoeng, former Chief Justice. The other one started by Musi Maimane. The other one started by Makashule Ghana. And the 4th one started by that offshoot of Action SA called Activists South Africa. 4 new parties in 3 weeks. But if it carries on like this, by 2026, we will have complete ungovernability in South Africa. We will have 20-party coalitions, and nothing will be done because it will all be bribery, extortion, and all of the other things for individual parties scrambling to get their snout in the trough.
So
the DA is not that party.
So, Helen, is it, I don't think it's entirely correct, though, to say Action SA has lost more. You've mentioned 6. And at a quick count of the leaders that you have lost in the DA, I'm thinking of Bongani Baloyi, Makashule Ghana, John Moody, Zakwele Mngwango, Mbalintuli, Musimamani. I mean, that's...
Now listen, let's just look at that. You're going back about 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Now, let's look at the reason why every single one of those people went their own way. And I'm talking in that 1 week. And also you must remember Fakey Mentor and Makosi Koza. You're just adding them up. Just add them up. I mean, Abel Tao's just been kicked out there too. Just add them all up one by one. The turnover in Action South Africa is far greater, and I know why, for a very good reason. I know exactly why. Because those people many of them used to be in the DA. But Musi Maimane left because a report that he commissioned, said that his weak leadership was the cause of the unraveling of the DA before the 2019 election. That is why he left. And I can go into each one of them. Some I don't even want to go into too deeply because I don't want to damage people. Once they've left the DA, they must go and do their thing. But the bottom line is that people come and go in political parties. And if they can't make the grade, and if they have bigger ambitions for themselves, and if they want to try in Action SA, they're very welcome. It's a voluntary association. The ANC has people coming and going all the time. They've lost more black leaders in a year than we have in 6. They've got no more white leaders left in the ANC, not a single one except Carl Niehaus. And they're trying to get rid of him as well. So the double standards of the media in always just focusing selectively on a racial basis on the DA is something that must end.
Okay. Helen, I was thinking of Derek Hanekom and other white leaders in the ANC.
They get nothing right. They're not leaders. They're right on the back burner. They're right on the back burner. They make a little peep now and again, but that's all.
All right. We'll leave it there. Helen Zille, thank you so much for making time.